The Pulse is coming to you live from our studios in Kokoblimlo on digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this COVID-19 was a setback, but with determination we'll make it. That's President Akufo-Addo's message to Ghanaians as we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ.
We're not there yet, but there's now a much greater belief that with discipline, determination, and hard work, we will make it.
In Accra, people are busy making last-minute shopping to prepare family meals for the feast.
Monkey flavor is nice. The music of us is good. But I remember gradually. My baby been so never do be able to.
Plus, a trip around the country for a taste of the celebrations in all 16 regions of Ghana. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Thanks for choosing us, your home of fearless, independent, and credible journalism. Merry Christmas. Let's prioritize the peace and national cohesion over personal gratification. Words from Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as he admonishes Ghanaians to embrace peace after the 2020 election. Speaking at the Victory Bible Church International after joining the assembly for Christmas service, Vice President Dr. Bawumia noted it is not easy to lose an election, but it is always important to prioritize the peace of the country above one's own interests. Dr. Bawumia referenced the 2008 and 2012 presidential election defeats he suffered with President Akufo-Addo, whilst adding they took it in their stride.
Just about 2 weeks ago, the Ghanaian spirit of peace was again tested when we went to the polls for the presidential and parliamentary elections. And thankfully, by the favor and mercies of the Lord Almighty, we have accomplished this task peacefully. Elections will usually come with winners and those who have not won. Always been the Lord. The battle has always been the Lord. So I ask myself, if the battle is the Lord's, who is the victory for? The victory can only be for the Lord. Because the battle is his. So at the end of the day, we have finished the elections, we have given the victory to the Lord, and it is a victory for Ghana, and we should be proud of that. It is not always easy when you lose an election. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, and myself have gone through painful moments of losing presidential elections. We lost in 2008, but we prioritized the peace and sanctity of our democracy and conceded. So I'm very that the Lord who granted us the will, power to prioritize national cohesion, peace and tranquility over personal gratification is capable and will do the same today for us.
On its part, presiding Bishop of the Victory Bible Church International, Bishop Takiya Aboy, appealed to politicians and political parties to have goodwill for the people.
May there be goodwill among the politicians of Ghana.
Well, you won't clap your hands there. Clap your hands. Because we are all one people.
If we say any problem,
So peace on earth and then goodwill. When you have goodwill towards somebody, he will offend you. Whatever it is, he will offend you. Because we are on the other side of the Garden of Eden. By all means, there will be tension.
if you say Eden throne, the baby before front here, you free mu. It is said the piano and your bedding.
Even identical twins, they have tension.
And tafopo omukra eya kikiri kakresi one them.
So this is the season
Eti we ni emra.
that we want to appeal to all Ghanaians.
Yepese yesre Ghana fo nyina.
We want to appeal to all politicians,
Yepese yesre amanyofo nyina.
all political parties.
Ene amanyoko ahodo nyina.
Let us have goodwill,
Say yenya opepa.
because it's a Christmas season.
Efri say eye bro nyambre.
And I pray that God will help us,
Na me mpa bo ni say Nyankopon be boa yen.
that we will be able to sing glory to God in the
Say
highest,
betimi aka bo ma atonyum say enonyam ka nyame e wo sorosoro.
and on earth
Na asase so
peace.
asomdwe.
This time the world is getting smaller
Semre ewiase ayeketwa.
because of internet,
Enam internet.
because of phone
Any phones.
technology.
Any abelfo
And in
nimdeɛ
the same way,
na saa kwan na so
coronavirus came somewhere.
coronavirus free baby by
We were hearing it,
yɛ ne yɛ te
but we felt we were far away,
ne adwene yɛ sɛ yɛ wɔ akyikyikyi
not knowing we were deceiving
sɛ na yɛ
ourselves.
daadaa yɛn ho.
President Akufo-Addo says Ghana continues to be a beacon of democracy on the continent after conducting, even in the midst of a pandemic, what he calls a transparent, free, fair, credible and safe general elections, which have been recognized by both local and international observers. Delivering his Christmas message to Ghanaians, the president also urged the citizenry to remain determined, hardworking and disciplined to propel the country despite the setback caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Fellow Ghanaians, on behalf of my wife Rebecca, my daughters, grandchildren, and members of my family, and on behalf of the government, I send best wishes of the season to you all as we celebrate Christmas. In a year filled with several highs and some lows, we're having for the first time in a long while to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in a subdued manner. We're having to make merry, albeit under restrictions, as a result of the global pandemic of COVID-19, which has not spared our shores. In spite of this, the epic story of Christmas provides us with an opportunity once again to affirm our faith, hope, and trust in Almighty God and His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, and to imbibe in us a deeper appreciation of a sense of hope in times of adversity and triumph over uncertainty. We in Ghana have good reason to be thankful to Almighty God for how far He has brought us. Our nation is united and at peace. We continue to be a beacon of democracy on the continent, having conducted, even in the midst of the pandemic, a transparent, free, fair, credible and safe general election, which has been so adjudged by all impartial domestic and international observers. Our economy is rebounding at a much faster rate than originally anticipated. We're ensuring that the basic elements of social justice, that is wide access to quality education and good health care, are being met. Food is affordable and is in abundance in our markets. And we are seeing to the transformation of the Ghanaian economy, which will bring in its wake jobs for the youth of our nation. We're not there yet, but there's now a much greater belief that with discipline, determination, and hard work, we will make it. And I assure you that our nation is being put on the path of progress and prosperity. So, fellow Ghanaians, in all our celebrations and reflections on 2020, let us adhere to the COVID-19 protocols by respecting the enhanced hygiene and mask-wearing protocols. It may be unconventional, especially at a time when we gather to make merry, but that is one way to ensure that we will make it to the new year healthy and alive. Let us celebrate safely and responsibly. All of us must avoid anything that will jeopardize the lives of our beloved ones. and put others in harm's way. Let us be a blessing on the lives of those in need, and through our actions, bring good cheer to all. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. May the Christmas season bring you joy, and may the new year usher in a new era of blessing and growth for you and for everyone you hold dear, by the grace of the Almighty. May God bless us all in our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong.
Goat sellers at the Techiman Central Market say they are recording low sales this festive season compared to the same period last year. These traders are attributing the low sales to the high exchange rate of the CFA, as these animals are brought into the country from neighboring countries. Correspondent Anin Sabit has been engaging some of these sellers and has filed this report.
Christmas is here at last, and we are here at the Techiman Sheep and Goat Market. We want to engage the sellers here on how their sales has been compared to the same period last year. We want to find out whether the buyers are coming in their numbers or whether it is the opposite, and if they are able to buy as expected. Let's get interactive with the sellers here.
This Christmas is one of the worst. We do not know if it is the elections or the higher exchange rates, so things are really bad here.
Gaskiya shekaran gadi kasuwan nan dubara ne.
Honestly, we are recording low sales here. It may be as a result of the elections. We don't know if there will be improvement going forward, but this year things are really bad.
We
are facing difficulties because there are no buyers here. For the past days, this is what we are experiencing. We go for the animals, but no buyers.
A number of them attribute their low sales to the high exchange rate of the silver, as these animals are being imported from neighboring countries such as Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, and Togo. So the high exchange rate, according to the people here, is affecting their sales this festive season.
I feel we the Yamianim market na confirm. The entire man confirm this.
We are recording low sales this year because of the exchange rate. We bring these animals from the neighboring countries, and the exchange rate has been high, and that's affecting our sales. Comparing this year to last year, the market has been bad because of the rate of the CFA, and the buyers are not coming too.
While some attribute the low sales to the exchange rate, others are of the view that this particular Christmas coming after the elections could be also another contributing factor to the low sales of their animals.
For me, I believe the elections is the cause of our low sales.
They, however, have some suggestions to authorities. They call on governments to come to their aid by working on controlling the exchange rate of the CFA in order to stabilize the Ghana cedi, and that, according to them, will increase their sales going forward.
Yeah, best I say, CFA no, na SRS na be ya ebe reduce aba from mama. Ombet yeah, send omba yeah be ma. We
call on authorities to work on improving the local currency. Once it gains strength against the CFA, we will make profit after sales. We wish they could help boost the strength of the Ghana cedi against the CFA. If that is done, things may improve here too.
So from the sheep and goat market here at the Techiman Central Market, my name is Anin Sabit, reporting for JoyNews.
Veterans Administration Ghana has made donation of hampers to sick veterans admitted at the 37 Military Hospital to mark the occasion of Christmas. Executive Secretary of the Veterans Administration, Captain Bendria, notes the administration will always prioritize the needs of veterans and support them. He says the nation is grateful for the services of these veterans during their period of active service. Captain Bendria spoke to the media when the administration presented hampers to the sick veterans at the 37 Military Hospital.
This very occasion, which is special in the life of everybody, we decided that since we are not finding them in our homes, we'll visit them in the hospital and still show our love for them. And that is why we are here, just to give them the morale for them to get out of this place and join us.
Some of the veterans expressed their gratitude to the administration for making their Christmas memorable and not forgetting about them.
I'm very happy that you have come to my aid by giving me this, and I appreciate it very much. I think you do the same thing to others.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I never thought you could visit me, but by His grace, I think what you've done, I pray for you, and I pray for my colleagues who are also that mission that we'll get recovered. Thank you.
I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. Let the good Lord continue to give our country peace and make us together so that we always come together to celebrate. And I know the Lord also will do it. Thank you very much.
Let's get into the regions and see how people are celebrating the birth of Christ. My colleague Precious Semevo joins us with more from the Bono region. Precious, what can you tell us from the Bono region?
Yes, Aisha, the festivities, it's already catching up with people here in the Bono region, the regional capital, Sunyani. People are still doing last-minute purchasing of consumables, things that they could not purchase days earlier or yesterday. If you go to town, people are still trying to purchase one or two items in order to augment what they already have in stock at home. And that is really going well. If you talk to them, all they say is that last minute, either they are receiving more visitors or they've realized that they need to get some other consumables either than what they had already, planned for. So that is what is happening here. Last night, if you move to the sports, the drinking bars and other fun, designated areas, people were really catching up with fun, meeting lots of friends and having lots of fun, I must say. But for today, the 25th of December, people started the day with church activities. People spent some hours at church after 12 about, or before 12. The town were generally deserted, but after 12, when they came back from church, you could see that there are a lot of cars moving around in town. There are a lot of people out there on the streets, trying to catch up with one or few things. I'm trying to see if I can get close to someone and speak to someone and then ask the person how the Christmas festivities is going. Fortunately, I'm getting this woman who will be joining me to speak with me quite briefly. She operates a store, a big provision store, provision store. Mommy, me da so be kan ho JoyNews. And anyway, me ba che pro say. Sister Ma. Sunyani Abisim. Okay. So, and then ekoso.
Jana koso na mi adam eti apopa e koso so maye. So I had then udi agro bi baba be wi osisi a. Mama kra ba meton.
Okay. Okay. Na dadie na ekoso nkofo to nyama de.
Koso pa moto. Na se nya bia ye na. Ye ko ye ni.
Na wankasa so ni wabusu no bronya no eti sen wo ase emre ni nyina wo spend wa hadum sei.
Na ye ma ye ka. Ye ma ye. Afia kwa betu na Bonibian kan na ye da shitiase dano koso maye.
Now they happy to so afia etwemu ho a ede na obeka.
Okay, afi eye the last year. The namia say the last year no. Say si koso no de say koso a ko say ye be wi dia. Okay, the last year.
Uni ebinum kasa nso a wo say coronavirus any abatoɔ ho nsɛnsɛm ti ase amane ama yɛ slow kakra.
Na mu e wo hɔ na nso na se yenya bia yenya film aha. Ama bronya no se sa ati sande ti ebe boaye.
Nti ene aduane be na ɛkɔ so den ye di enumere.
Ye be ofufu.
Oh, I see.
I can see that they're really in the Christmas mood there. Can you ask her to sing a Christmas carol in her dialect?
Mommy, my bronya nyumbi na ya pandi bronya my bronya nyumbi na pandi ai. Bronya nyumbi a betia tubia. Ai bronya nyumbi a Christmas nyumbi a.
Yedanyamiasio sewa gaya amafia tuye enyeni penyina netu omo na seyediempo yedaso yetiasia asudana yedi manyamio yedanyamiasio sewa mafia tuye.
That was wonderful. Precious Semevo.
So that is this woman here operating a Nyanyameden provision store here at Abyssine, where I got to before filing this report. People are trying to, meet one or two friends and go about their normal things. But I expect that in the evening and then tomorrow, fortunately for them, they will tell you that this Christmas appears to have fallen well because it's weekend. And then they will have a lot of time,
I can imagine it will be all through to Sunday, I guess. Every Monday is a holiday. Now, let's cross over to the Savannah region where my colleague Eliaso Tanko is standing by for us. Eliaso, is an all-pito Christmas, I guess. Elias Tanko, I'm asking if it's an all-pito Christmas in the Savannah region.
Well, Aisha, if I can hear you, I'm reaching out to you from the Northeast region, precisely in Wale, which is a cosmopolitan town in the whole of Northeast region, where we have Muslims and Christians. But what is currently happening right now is celebration ongoing, and I've been talking to residents as well as religious leaders here, and they say this year has been very difficult one, and they cite the coronavirus pandemic and also the increasing armed robbery situation in the Wale municipality or the West Manfred municipality, and also the ongoing electoral tension in the country. But as you can see, I'm right here on the main Tamale-Bolega highway.
Okay, so Elias Tanko is from the Northeast region. He's reporting on how Christmas is being celebrated around that area. Of course, we'll try and get more of our correspondents so we can gauge the mood in all the regions as to how people are celebrating the birth of Christ. But still to come in this bulletin, the concluding interview with the national organizer of the NPP, Samir Wuku. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the Pulse, to the rest of our stories. And one of the youngest females to have graced our first parliament of the First Republic, Lucy Anin, is calling for the removal of the indemnity clauses in the 1992 Constitution. She says these are unnecessary bottlenecks in the Constitution that must be removed. She spoke to my colleague Benjamin Akakpo.
So it's another pleasant opportunity to discourse with someone really special, someone who has been in this country, served in the first parliament of the First Republic, that is under Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. She's in the person of none other than Lucy Anin, who joins us for a discussion. Auntie Lucy, A very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon too.
I hope you're well.
By the grace of God, I'm well. I'm so lucky that I'm still alive and kicking. By next year, June, I'll be 82. So I thank God for his blessings.
Wow, 82. And you must have been really young then when you acceded.
I entered into politics from Ashwater School. I didn't go to the sixth form. I left Ashwater in 58. Joined the commercial bank for a while and then straight to Parliament. So I was 22 years when I became a member of Parliament.
That is really young, even by today's standards.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. What are your reflections on today's Ghana? You were in the Ghana of the First Republic all the way till now. You served in the First Republic. When you look at Ghana today, what do you see?
The Ghana today, there is so much confusion. What I say is that unless we change our 1992 constitution, because this constitution has so many flaws in this constitution, and this constitution was imposed on the people of Ghana after a long period of terror, reign of terror by PNDC, NDC rule. That's after that long period and people were agitating, blah, blah. That's why the Constitution came to be written. So it's not the Constitution for the people. It's not it was imposed. I will call it, for me, I don't mess with it. It's J.J. Rawlings' Constitution.
You call it a Rawlings Constitution?
Exactly.
But when you talk of it, are you referring to the AFRC, PNDC, or are you referring to the PNDC and the NDC? The NDC was under a democratic dispensation.
No. What I'm saying, that Constitution, when it was first drafted, that is 1932, and it legalized coups. AFRC, PNDC are all coups, military regimes. So when you are making a constitution, you have to write a constitution. Why should we legalize coup?
When you say it legalizes coups, what exactly do you mean?
Because they have put in so many decrees, PNDC decrees, ANC decrees in the constitution, and then the worst part of it, they have put indemnity clause. And then the divestiture, because I remember they shared these state enterprises before the coming of the Constitution. And that's why they put the indemnity clause on it. So even when you take it to court, unless we change this Constitution.
But those indemnity clauses were put there for certain reasons. When we're making the transition from, military rule to democratic rule, there were reasons behind, those indemnity clauses to ensure that we could proceed on the democratic, path without too much, confusion, if you like. Don't you think that was a necessary condition for having what we enjoy now?
I think it was. That's what I'm saying. The Constitution came to power under rule of terror. People were very afraid. For years, PNDC had been ruling over Ghana for so many years. That's what the time they shared the booty. What I'm saying, because let me tell you, if you have, give you a typical example. Sawam Cannery is a state enterprise. GNTC, state enterprise, state fishing corporation, all these belong to them. Even TV3, which used to be Ghana film industry. That's where Kwanzaa and others they started being trained. Why should you take state property? Who owns it? How much? It's not right. To me, if and then you cover it with indemnity clause so that I, Luciani, cannot take it to court.
Are there specific matters that you would have wanted to take to court, matters that you might have had against the AFRC, against the PNDC? Do you feel aggrieved in any way?
That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't legalize coup if we are talking about civilian government. We need to change this present constitution, which has made it, people have taking advantage and taking all the state enterprises, the state footwear, the state fishing corporation, and some women can we used to have what we call GNTC stores, chain of stores, which Nkrumah purchased when he wanted to sell made in Ghana goods. Ghana House were selling made in Ghana goods, and if you go to Tema Fishing Corporation, it was state-owned. Everything was state-owned. In fact, during the time that we were practicing this fee-free education started by Nkrumah. It was fee-free and compulsory at that time. You see, so if we really are sincere and we want to change into, we need to, because Rawlings and his crews made this constitution just to cover. Because if you go to the list that this is just an iceberg, there are a lot of things that belongs to the state.
So let me just chip in this bit. We know that when it comes to state enterprises and all of that, after Nkrumah was ousted, right from Buzia through to others that came, a lot of them, the canneries, the leather processing, the shoe processing, the tomato paste processing, the glass industry, all of that was set up by him, a lot of them became defunct through it wasn't, I mean, it was from stage to stage, but they died along. It wasn't the AFRC that came and started the process. It wasn't the PNDC that came and started the process.
Champon said he wasn't going to borrow, but the state enterprise were still running. We were still having fishing corporation, all this was running. He said he wasn't going to borrow, so he made they call it Yentria, and he launched the Operation Feed Yourself. And the Operation Feed Yourself was so viable that we were exporting rice to our neighboring countries. So when the PNDC came, they shared the booty.
How? What exactly happened?
That's why they passed the Diversity Implementation Program. The Diversity Implementation Program, if we, and it's entrenched in the Constitution, they legalized it. After they shared the booty, then coming to write the Constitution, they legalized it. That's what I say. We need to change our Constitution. Otherwise, Ghana will never move on.
Okay. Talking about changing the Constitution, this is the same Constitution that has served us in the Fourth Republic, I mean, for some, close to 30 years, 1992 till now. So some 28 years. And just because you bring it up, I recall, and through my readings, Justice F.K. Anin, back then, who was part of this entire discussion on framing a new constitution, talking about the benefits of it, and all of that. I remember that, ordinary people, common folk, fisher folk, farmers, and all of that were brought in to contribute their thoughts to what our constitution should be. So, in effect, it was Ghanaians, to a large extent, determining what they wanted. Are you suggesting that because of the indemnity clauses in there, we have to change the entire constitution that we put together for ourselves?
I'm telling you, they have this, as I told you, the Constitutional Review Committee, which was set up under Atabels in 2010, they have identified so many things that we have to change. And indemnity clause is one of those things. And then the diversity, which has killed Ghana. The diversity implementation program has really killed Ghana. Because if we had allowed all these things to operate, now, do you know who owns these things? Look at all the catering rest houses all over the country. The owners, how they went, it's all state. Because one thing you have to notice that this thing was passed under terror. I'm not kidding. At that time, it was scary to live around that time.
Which time specifically are you referring to?
AFRC PNDC. It was a time of terror, rule of terror. For me, I don't mince words. And they just handpicked people to make this constitution. Even after that, and we've been implementing this constitution for years, which is no good for the country.
Right.
Because if the Swam country is there, and Swam people will have opportunity to work in their farm. Because let's see, when we started canning from Swam country, London, that was the first time people were having products from Ghana. We started long ago in Swam country. We were doing our own thing. We were able to export to other neighboring countries, if they important. And look at fishing cooperation. We used to have 29 fishing trawlers, not a fishing admiral motors. And they have employed people from Elubu to Kita. All fishermen were working on the fishing trawlers. Now, what are we talking about? Our fishing folk, what are they doing? And now they give them admiral motors. And then the foreign trawlers are now fishing in territorial waters.
Yes, so we can talk about even the Black Star Line and moving on. But the point to be made is some as well have survived. The Commander Sugar Factory, for example. I mean, there have been attempts to revamp it and all of that. Some of them have, continued to serve as state-owned enterprises. And so the focus is...
The ball which was making profit. GNTC started making... I remember I was part of the delegation when Nkrumah was initiating with AG Leventis to buy AG Leventis property, that is GNTC stores. It was the first enterprise that was making profit because workers were allowed to have passbooks at GNT stores where they can credit things. Workers could go there. If you are a Akasanoma, you just go there, fill your year through either to your TUC. This is made properly, mainly for the folk, the Ghanaians. And how should such a thing that was making profit be divested?
Now let me ask you. You recently, came out with this. You congratulate the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his victory in the just ended elections. You also talk about a number of things. But apart from the AFRC and the PNDC, one of the things you mention in there has to do with, the pillage of state resources. And that is part of what we are getting into now. But what exactly can we do about that in the Constitution?
When you mean the Constitution?
Yes.
We need, now we have produced more lawyers than ever who have studied, and we need a constitution who will suit Africans for our own benefit.
The current one doesn't?
No, it doesn't. Because if you divest something and you sell it to a foreigner, do you help your country? It doesn't help.
Let me ask you this, especially because we're talking about the AFRC, PNDC era. How do you feel about deceased former President Rawlings? Did you have any personal encounters with him? Do you feel aggrieved in any way personally with anything he may have done?
First of all, I was in Achimota School. I left Achimota 58 when I was in Parliament. I think he entered Achimota 60. I feel so sad because I have contact with Champa, Afrifa, and all the group. Amedome was only a year behind me in Achimota School. He was a Navy commander. And I know all of them. I feel so sad that the people who lost their lives during that period, not only army officers, but civilians, which is uncalled for. Right. How? When you said, look, if you talk about revolution, compare with Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro came from a very, very rich family. But I don't think Fidel Castro had to make mansions and everything for himself. Never. If you go to Cuba, I don't think he did it. So it means you came not because of Ghanaians, not because of benefit of Ghanaians, because of your own selfish benefit. That's why you came.
Okay, so that's how you feel about that. I did spend a year in Cuba studying, and I can tell you that the Cubans have their own problems when it comes to these, from Che Guevara to, Fidel. But I understand the point you're making.
Castro acquired state properties for himself. He didn't. I know Castro never acquired property, you see. And if you go to Lenin, I've been to Moscow before, Leningrad. If you go to Leningrad now, I don't think the so-called revolutionaries, look at it's unfortunate that I didn't bring a copy of when during Rawlings' 70th birthday, one of the generals, Odo, he wrote an article. I have a copy, and unfortunately, I will let you have the copy. Even the generals, the senior officers who were beaten and were not recorded, unless you were in the army. You see, there are so many things that, you see, what I'm saying that Ghanaians, as the maybe 80% Christians or 7%, we need to tell the truth. Because what I've noticed that our youth, we don't know anything about God. They have suppressed the truth for a long time. Cain killed Abel, his brother. Even the gospel Saint Paul, so he supported murderers. But but everything, they reported bad kings, they reported good kings, everything that. If we are Christians and we follow Christ, we don't have to cover.
Right. Let me ask you this. You've spoken extensively about the AFRC, the PNDC, and you have very grave, issues to discuss on them. The man at the center of both is now deceased. He actually, you've said a lot of not so pleasant things. Do you have anything pleasant to say about the man? I mean, there is no one who is all black. It's said that usually you would have black, you would have white. Is there anything that Rawlings, the former president, did that for that you could commend him?
What I'm saying, for me, I don't hide my feeling. So far as the state is concerned, there's nothing that I have to. Because I remember the days when people in the mining area were beaten severely, mercilessly. What I'm saying is, I passed through all the coups. And if Brigadier Nuno Mensah, it was he whom I went to him to, because it was very scary. It was very scary at that time. You see, it was very, very scary at that time. And this fear had been planted in the minds of Ghanaians. Ghanaians are still afraid. As I'm talking, people say, Lucy, but for me, God is my protector. For me, apart from God.
Let me ask you the question in a different way. Do you have any fond memories at all of the deceased former President Rawlings, who will be buried? Well, now the date has been moved from the 23rd because of some family disputes about traditions and all of that. But do you have any fond memories of him?
Because you see, what I'm telling you, if what a champion did had been recorded, let me give a few examples during a champion time. Teshinungwa Estates, Dansoma Estate, Barakasi Dam, Tono irrigation scheme, when they wanted to mechanize that, were all under. And even though he didn't get any loan from, we were still operating all these things. If you, at that time, food complex, fishing corporation was still running. People were going to buy there. The fishing trawlers were still there. Why? Now, if you go to fishing corporation, as I'm talking, it's all foreigners. They have taken everything from us. So, what?
So there's nothing to commend. Let me ask you this. You served in the first Parliament of the First Republic. Yes. You were one of 10 women, yes, members of Parliament, yes, and you were, specifically from representing the Brong-Ahafo region. Right. Region, the whole region. Right. Every corner of Brong-Ahafo. If you could just repeat.
During recess, you have to go with. At that time, we were working as a team, teamwork. because no, there was no day nursery, nothing. And we have just started, building schools, colleges. There's education trust schools. They put up teacher training colleges, and then secondary school, like Sunya Secondary School, Sunya Polytechnic. There was none like that in existence. So we started, and those days we used to force people to go to school. I remember at Tebubu, the DC, myself, and we had to force people to go to school because people were not going to school at that time. Even in Nash Motor School, in my class, there were only 13 women in my class. Class of we left at 58.
So it was quite, an achievement then for the 10 of you to make it. But what do you make of the workings of Parliament today compared in the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic? We are entering the 8th Parliament compared to the 1st Parliament of the 1st Republic.
First of all, I used to go and listen to the debate, but you see, I felt it was boring at times. When you go, you don't even see people around. They just come and then.
Are you referring to the current Parliament or the 1st Republic?
I used to go and watch that because if you have a Hansard, especially 1995 Hansard, 1955 Hansard, you see how people sit down and apparently in Nkrumah's regime, there were about 80% teachers. Say you knew how teachers work to get their presentation. It's marvelous. But now, even when you get this under this, I think I look at people who are not even reading.
Do you think the standards have fallen in our parliament?
It's falling. But already they made the laws, the 1966, they've already just to make amendment, you have to put your input, so you have to research. Now you have all the things for research. Why don't we research history and bring it back?
But our parliamentarians do that. They have assistants, people who help them in their work and all of that.
At that time, we didn't have secretaries. We have to do everything by yourself.
And so you feel maybe now they've been pampered and so they are not doing the work?
Sure.
We'll soon be entering the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic, and it's going to be a very tight one. I think only the Liman administration comes close in terms of, a parliament that would be like this, because we have 137 seats, at least for now, what we know, 137 seats for the NDC, 137 for the MPP, and the independent candidate from MENA. Do you feel this is going to hamper Parliament's work in any way, or is it rather going to help build our democratic credentials?
We are going to see. We haven't come to see that, so we wait and see what is going to happen in Parliament.
But as it is neck and neck like this, what do you foresee as a former member of Parliament?
Maybe it's history. This neck and neck. Maybe when Nkrumah said we need to have one state, I don't think it was wrong, because Mamudu Bawumia's father was a minister of local government in the one-party state. So I don't think 1960 constitution was all that bad. They should study that and pick what time changes. I think they have to read the 1962 very well and then see what can be done about it.
As we get ready to wrap up now, like I said, in this statement, you congratulate the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. In the next 4 years, barring any unforeseen circumstances, because, the opposition is also getting ready to go to court over a number of matters. But in the next 4 years, what would you like to see from this administration? What would you like to see happen in Ghana?
What I want to see from this administration, you see, we have to go back to the drawing board. The good old days where Ghanaians are proud of themselves. They should stop copycats.
They should stop what?
Copycats. We've copied so much. Now people have even stopped eating their own food. You see, the healthy food that we used to eat, they have stopped eating.
So how do we revive that? How do we own who we are and what we have?
Teach our children and grandchildren. You see, Nkrumah had what we call young pioneer. when he established the young pioneer, people did not understand it. You know, where we go to Britain, Europe, Russia, they all have young people being trained. So when you are a young pioneer, first, your loyalty is to the state. You don't sell your state conscience.
Some said that was propaganda.
If you go to Russia or America, any part of the world, they have their youth being trained. So even by the time you get to a certain stage, they know that you are going to be an engineer. So they push you where you have to. See, this is what we should have done. Continue. You see, we have lost so many things. Because you see, God gives vision to visionary leaders. And Kwame Nkrumah was one of those people. He was a man of vision.
Since Nkrumah, have we had any other leaders you would call visionary?
I don't think so. So, because so far as we sit down, even we are becoming copycats. Everything that is white is what we believe in it. Even when we started the Mampong, hair bathing, we should have continued and research so that even who knows that this coronavirus could be saved by our own herbs. And God has blessed us with all the herbs under the sun. Look, now nobody knows. This is the research. So we just sit down and let research from every time research coming from. We have scientists. We've produced enough people to go in and research for the benefit of Ghana and Africa. Africa, we need to have this colonial mentality washed from our face.
Right. Now, I can't let go of you without bringing this up, especially as you were in that first parliament of the First Republic. We've had, a historic number of members of parliament in this administration, about 120 plus of them. And some have said for a country like ours, we don't need so many. What is your take on that?
Exactly. If I was representing Brunhafo all by myself as a woman MP at that time, every recess I have to go with the regional minister, the district. Why should we have so many? Look at the Dutch. How many parliamentarians do we have in Dutch parliament? We are just wasting our money for nothing. I don't think we have to create all these. It's uncalled for. At least the most should be 200.
The most should be
200.
So we actually have over 120. So if you say 200, you're adding some 80 to it. Do you mean 20?
No, I mean how many? I mean the overall number of members. How the number of
I was talking about ministers.
Hey, for what?
So the ministers of state.
I will send you a copy of the cabinet, Kwame Nkrumah's first cabinet. It's uncalled for. They are just, for me, I don't see Minister of Communication alone will have, no. It's a waste of our money.
Right. So the ministers, if you had your way, how many do you think we could have?
They should go in the books and see how, and then compare. If even the population, we don't need all these ministers.
Okay, and the members of parliament as well, from 275, you think we can come down to 200, though our population is growing and all of that?
Because if you look at the north, the population, such a small place, and they have, how many people are there? And excuse me, how many people are even educated, can read there? There are things that...
But nowadays there are many more people who coming from that portion of the country who are...
The population doesn't even necessitate MP. Why can't we come? You see, we are a small country, like Dutch, Holland. They have everything. Dutch airline, they are blah, blah, blah. We don't have all these things. So we need to cut down. We need to minimize, cut our coat according to our cloth, period.
So let's downsize. Finally, especially as we're in the festive season, I'd like you to share your Christmas message with all of Ghana. You've been with us for a long while, 82 years now. First Parliament of the First Republic. You've seen all of our leaders, from Nkrumah till now?
All the military leaders, Champa, Kufu, Abuachi, I met all of them.
What would be your message to Ghanaians during this festive season?
Oh, we need to thank God. As we are Christians, we need that God has blessed. It's one of the most blessed countries in the world. So we need to give our thanks to God. For me, your trust should be in God, period. Ghanaians, they worship God, that they should be straight with God, so that God will give us all the blessings.
I think it's safe to call you an 82-year-old walking history book.
Walking history.
Yes.
God is so good to me.
And we pray for many more years for you.
With good health and to do my gardening, as I do my gardening, to exercise a little. Right. And thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Not all people like to see old women. Not all people like to talk to old women. Nowadays, they don't care about us.
Well, some of us do, and multimedia definitely has time for everybody.
My son, God bless you. How old are you?
Well, that's something I would rather not disclose.
Please let me know. Maybe you'll be one of my grandsons.
I would rather not. I'll tell you off air.
My firstborn was 62.
Right.
62.
Well, I can definitely tell you that I am not in his league.
But you look so young, like one of my grandsons. I have 8 grandsons.
Wow.
And I have 10 grandchildren, 2 girls and 8 boys.
You know, you are a blessing.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and may God bless you all for listening to Old Lady.
We thank you for coming. That is Madam Lucy Anin, who actually was in the first parliament of the First Republic under Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And she's been sharing her thoughts. She came out with this statement in recent times congratulating His Excellency the President, but also making some very important points about our Constitution. And she feels it must go. Well, thank you for joining us as we have shared our thoughts.
And back here in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Today we bring you the concluding part of the interview with the national organizer for the NPP, Samir Wuku, who describes the street protest by the opposition NDC over the outcome of the 2020 elections as dangerous to the country's democracy. He spoke with my colleague MFA Pau in the first part of the exclusive interview we brought to you yesterday. We're bringing you that concluding part of the interview.
They've lost the right to protest if you do not conform to the laws. We have a Public Order Act.
It's part of the processes and the redress for them, and they feel that being on the streets is part of the options available to them.
But where your rights ends, that's where mine begins. But if you are telling me that there should be complete disregard for our laws, where the Public Order Act should be completely...
Nobody is saying there should be complete
No, but you're saying that is their right. The right to protest is enshrined.
Back then when you protested, before the speech that you talk about, did you
and
go by the Public
and that
Order
is why
Act?
the presidential candidate at that time decided to put a stop to it.
People were attacked.
Where?
You recall that people were attacked, media people were attacked, ordinary Ghanaians were attacked in the process.
It took leadership of the NPP, led by the presidential candidate, when his attention was drawn to it, to quickly address our supporters and say, look, that is not the way to go.
That's your expectation from the NPC?
And that has been our expectation right from day one. When the results were announced, it is normal that you have supporters who were so expectant that their candidate was going to win. It didn't end up that way for them. They become emotional. They jump on the street. They become unruly. But that should not go beyond 48 hours. My thinking. It shouldn't. So as quickly as possible, leadership should then take the opportunity to say, look, we know you are upset, you have your reservations, you believe that we should have won this election, or you believe we won this election. But the best way for us to go about it, let's make sure that we do the right thing. Calm down, support us in prayers, support us with your courage, gather all the evidence you think that we might need and we will need. Come to us, let's audit it, let's proceed to court. My concern is that the path the NDC seem to have chosen is dangerous for our democracy. This thing has gone on beyond a week, including yesterday protest.
And there's more.
And there's more planned. And they are going against the Public Order Act. That is one. Then number two, MFA. The path they've chosen, you can give adventurists the opportunity in future to also reject maybe a sweet victory of yours. In the next, I don't know when the Ghanaian people decide once again to bring the NDC back. Of course, Ghana is not a one-party state. The NPP believes that someday we will also end up in opposition. Are you telling us that when that day comes and the NDC wins electoral victory, are you going to tell the NPP to also accept the results?
But if it's a clear victory and not a flawed election,
550,000 votes. It's not a flawed victory. It's not a slim margin.
We've heard about errors. This is the first time we've had an announcement, and then later the EC comes back.
If you check 2012, the EC corrected theirs. They did not even announce it, but you check it on their website. In 2012, when some of the results are declared, you had the figures change on their website. It was part of even our case.
The errors are insignificant.
For these errors, the EC believe they are insignificant. And not just me. You have covered press conferences of Kodeo. Sheikh Arimeyao in the past, his comment, his position on national issues and discourse had always favored the NDC. I'm not saying he's NDC, I say in the past. He had favored it. Today, the NDC, they are attacking Sheikh Arimeyao because Sheikh Arimeyao led Kodeo, which is an amalgamate, yes, as an acting chairman, to say that their results is not too far from that of the EC and doesn't bring Nana Akufo-Addo below 50 plus 1. So even to them, the errors are insignificant, not just us, that of the EU, that of the AU, that of ECOWAS, and that of other election observers. And then for the avoidance of doubt, all the polls leading to the December 7th elections, all the legitimate, credible polls, none of them predicted an NPP defeat. None.
If they were paid for, in his words, in Mr. Mahama's words, for instance, saying that the polls are cooked, they are cooked.
Okay, so let me even go by Mr. Mahama's argument and logic. The EIU predicted an NDC win in 2012. We disagreed. The EIU, weeks leading to the election petition verdict, predicted still a slim win for the NDC. That wasn't cooked. So how come the EIU's predictions are now cooked? In 2016, the Political Science Department predicted a win for the NPP, and by that margin and with a small margin of error, that prediction came through. In 2012, they predicted that win for the NDC, and it came through. So unless you're telling me that of the CDD, the CDD themselves, they've been consistent over the last 20 years or so in terms of survey, Afrobarometer, analysis, predictions. So it cannot be that all these democratic institutions got it wrong with our predictions. It could be. And, we've had elsewhere and with polls and in other countries, but all the polls together, 99% of them cannot predict a win for Akufo-Addo, and it doesn't follow that.
Let's get direct on this. Listening to the NDC, we'll get into the constituency, the parliamentary, for instance. They've cited a number of parliamentary seats that should flip to the NDC.
As their new term, flip.
They've talked about Sifiri also. We've heard Sabzugu. Sene West has fallen to the NDC. They've talked about Savlugu also. A number of them that would Techiman South is key for the NDC.
Techiman South has been declared already.
Of course, it's been declared, but they insist that should fall for the NDC.
Techiman South, that was declared. So the NDC is beginning to pick and choose. The same Electoral Commission that they believe cooked the results for the MPP. That same Electoral Commission gave the NDC 16-vote win in Sene West. And hypocrisy is when you have a presidential candidate refusing to concede defeat for over 550,000 vote margin, believing that that cannot be, but accepts victory of 16 votes. That's hypocritical. You believe that 550,000, no presidential candidate since 2000 going into a second term has won with that margin Akufo-Addo won. No presidential candidate. Mr. Mahama himself, the highest he had was 305,000. That also even ended up in court. Mills won with about 120,000 in 2008. Mahama in 2012, 305,000. Akufo-Addo with over 500,000. And if you are telling me that 500,000 is a slim margin, then 120,000, well, how do you classify that? And 16 votes. So I believe that, MFR, I don't want to understand the NDC's position, but I share in the pain of their supporters because they were misled by the leadership of the party. They kept giving them hope. Hakuna Matata, no worries. We've won these elections. Oh, we are winning. And then they get disappointed in the end. It has to take leadership to say, look, we have to go back to the drawing board. Don't get dispirited. Don't get disenchanted. Don't get disillusioned. We live to fight another day. We did our homework well after 2008 to rebuild, in fact, to reflect, to rebuild, and to recapture. We had the 3 R's post 2008, and that led to our victory in 2016. 2012, we believe that we failed to keep our eye on the ball. Post-election petition hearing, he opened the eyes of Ghanaians to what even a pink sheet was. Many of our voters didn't understand even the ballot accounting procedure. But you and I know that the election petition enlightened all of us. That was when people for the first time got to know that even when you finish voting, there have to be ballot accounting. People must be verified and all. In 2012, over 200,000 people voted outside Ghana, from our embassies to students and all. When we requested for that list in court, the EC brought us less than 1,000 names. Even with that, the MPP still, we accepted the verdict of the court. I believe that the continuous protest is damaging the NDC brand and damaging our democracy and tainting the image of Ghana. And when I say it's damaging the NDC's brand, I'll give you 2 examples. I have a friend who is NDC, in fact, not NDC, he voted NDC in 2020, a professional, and was using the Ridge Road. He voted NDC, and they had his car smashed. He said, what saddens his heart is that he has even moved on. During the protest? During the protest. So for this person, he says, Sammy, I've even regretted voting for these people I voted for. Because look, I was upset with the MPP for 1 or 2 reasons. But for me to vote for a party, that day out of rage will also damage my car. So I've lost twice. Failed to get the person I voted for when. And then secondly, to have my car damaged. And he said the sad aspect is that when the gentleman who damaged his car, he said, look, you guys are smart. He said, you people, you are all part of the fraud. The second person is a lecturer, friend of mine, who said he was shocked that in the pelting of stones, he also was taking the kid to Ridge Hospital and had an emergency and became a victim of the unruly behavior of these NDC supporters. I think that the security agencies must also act in a manner that protects lives and properties. And I believe that is important. I know, that's what I'm saying. I share in their pain, but I disagree with the approach they are using. They have been youth leader before. I know how he feels. And in 2012, I was Deputy Communications Director. We believe that a lot of things went wrong with that process. Subsequently, we went to court. We didn't have our day in court. We decided to work hard, to have an incontestable lead in 2016.
So a number of things that the NDC
then back to the parliamentary seat.
We'll get into the parliamentary seat. It appears that the NDC mentions that a number of intimidating tactics were deployed
ahead of the election,
including using the military. We've seen what happened in Techiman South, for instance. They feel that it was intimidating. Should we be using such tactics?
My understanding is that At the collation center, nobody was.
Reported deaths.
No, at the collation center, nobody was intimidated. And no military officer intimidated anybody at the collation center. Outside the premises of the collation, in fact, outside the counting room or the collation room, then I think there was an altercation. I believe that the use of brute force is something we need to check. However, you also need to be fair to the security agencies. If you become an object of attack, of stones, and all that, I know how protests can degenerate. I've led protests before. Sometimes it's very difficult even managing the people, but that's where you need leadership. The same architecture of the military, the police. We haven't added a single soul to the military leadership or high command since we came. These are the people who have been there from Jerry Rawlings's time. We haven't imported anybody outside the military high command. Say the person was living in the Soviet Union or whatsoever, and we say, no, come and be CDS, Army Commander.
But the Commander-in-Chief has changed.
Yeah, the Commander-in-Chief has changed.
So if but from above,
the military don't work like that. We don't have to also insult their intelligence. They also live with us. They have families. The military themselves voted in the election. So the NDC is saying that they won even the barracks, which was really not true, because per what the counting that took place on December 7, the MPP won almost all the barracks. But just after the special vote, they said they had won. It was similar to the district assembly elections when they said it wasn't partisan, but the NDC claimed victory on the 9th of assembly members and all that. Fast forward and let me go back to the Techiman incident. MFA, the loss of a life is regrettable. And that is why we continue to engage our colleagues. And let me pay glowing tribute to the late Justice Ajakuma. I'm sure you might have forgotten the name and not knowing if it rings a bell. That was a young man who had his eye removed during the Let My Vote Count Alliance and subsequently passed on. He's no more. Even when we're complaining that a colleague has lost their eye, the NDC told us that we had used tomato ketchup.
Is that a justification?
Not at all. I'm saying that the loss of a life is regrettable. And, you know, if you check the democratization of violence in our body politic, it predates the NPP. We've had these issues occurring and occurring. As we keep maturing in our democracy, nobody should lose a life out of street protest or whatsoever. But as humans as we are, sometimes people go even offbeat. Let me use this opportunity to express our deepest condolences on behalf of the MPP to the families who have lost their lives, who have lost their loved ones, and we pray that never again. But the NDC leadership cannot derelict their duties when it comes to also offering that needed leadership to their supporters. Look, the supporters now, they become like orphans. They don't know who to even cry to. And that is why there should be a rallying point. Someone should take the high moral ground and say, look, we are getting to a point where if we don't take care, we'll damage our party's brand, our party's reputation. Mind you, for someone who has had his car smashed, has become a victim of NDC thuggery, that person, even if the person voted for the NDC in 2020, the NDC must sweat for that vote in 2024. So the continual protest and thuggery, attacks, and even innocent Ghanaians becoming victims.
It appears their protest is piling pressure on government.
I don't think so. And we have had a tough time restraining the MPP supporters.
You are?
And let me reveal, it's been very tough. The president has had several opportunities to even engage us behind the scenes, getting us to talk to our supporters. MFA, we are the biggest party in Ghana now because we won the popular vote. Make no mistake. And as declared by the Electoral Commission, the only body required to declare results. The MPP won more votes than the NDC in terms of the presidential and won more seats than the NDC in terms of parliamentary.
You didn't win more seats.
Oh, we had 137, and then Fomena is a traditional MPP seat.
But
check the president. Check the presidential
this is the man
vote.
you dismissed
outright,
walked him out of parliament.
The man
now
himself,
today you say that this is your seat.
The man himself,
yes,
in an interview with the media, he said, "My people are NPP people, and they want me to sit with the NPP." I quote him.
After
my people. No,
are you
take
happy
the personality
about the way you
aside.
him?
I believe that the party had rules and regulations governing the conduct of our primaries. We've moved beyond the Fomena issue.
But now that
we had rules and regulations governing the conduct of parliamentary primary. Our then member of parliament disagreed with parts of the process, so
because
decided
it was undemocratic.
No, not at all. He did not even partake in the parliamentary primaries. People do not know this fact. He didn't pick nomination form. He believed that the electoral album, as structured in the constituency, was to his disadvantage, and decided to pitch his strength in the general elections. That was a Fomena issue. It's different from disqualification. So he decided to pitch his luck in the general election. The people felt that our MP had performed. So even though he's not standing on the MPP's tickets now, we are MPP people.
But the president openly said that he will not work with any independent candidate. We'll call that vividly.
Yes, and the president himself has taken the opportunity to congratulate our candidate.
He has.
The Fomena MP, and also stretched a hand of friendship. And we believe that even though...
That position has changed now?
Oh, I mean, that position...
He can now work with an independent candidate?
No, I mean, that position even for the MPP, not just the president, because it was our position as a party, collectively, not to encourage independent. And it cannot be that MFR, everybody decides to go independent. There won't be a party. So the president himself is also a believer in our party's constitution. He sits in steering committee, he sits in NEC, he sits in national council. Even when he disagrees with the collective view or the majority view of NEC, National Council and Steering Committee, he is obliged to go by decisions of NEC. His own personal feeling, influence, cannot override that of the National Council, for which he is a member.
Okay, so let's come to how you are restraining.
So let me use the opportunity to congratulate our Fomena MP. We believe that the past is past. We hope that there wouldn't be an occurrence where we have independence again. For us as a party, we are doing a postmortem.
Are you not displaying double standards?
Not displaying double standards, but it's also important that you also recognize that the man gave us a good fight and he won. You have to give that to him. The party fielded a candidate. He beat our candidate, fair and square.
You're going to have a tough time in Parliament.
We believe that we have the men to also try to make the parliamentary process smooth. It won't be an easy task, make no mistake. But that is why leaders have voted. They have voted to fix challenges. And I believe that this election results, the Ghanaian people are telling the NDC and the MPP to work together for a common good. If you try to also sabotage the running of the country, the people themselves too will bear their teeth. Mind you, there were constituencies where NDC won parliamentary, we won presidential. There were constituencies where we won presidential, they won parliamentary, and vice versa. They are telling you that we don't want to give absolute power to any of you. Go work together, develop Ghana with a common agenda.
Is this your way of parrying the fact that executives of the NPP, for instance, did not work hard enough? Because the number of promises you made, Ashanti region, for instance, you said we were going to claim all 47 seats. That did not happen. A number of promises you made to your supporters.
We went into the election.
It appears you didn't work hard.
No, we did.
Abysmal performance.
I disagree. I disagree. It was an abysmal performance. It also shows the sophistication of the Ghanaian voter. The MPP, Akufo-Addo, has performed creditably well. And for me, I think he's been one of our best presidents in our Fourth Republic. Look at the interventions, be it social, be it economic, and the skill and the level of development that he has also brought for the Ghanaian people. For me, I'm so impressed. We did go into the election with our own target. I am not disappointed. I want the MPP people to understand that we won these elections for our country and for them. They have every reason to jubilate. Maybe the target that they expected, we didn't get it. But look, you go into a match, you expect to come home with a 3 points, 6 goals, 3 points.
Exactly.
You come home with 1 goal, 3 points. It's a win. You've had your 3 points. But maybe you didn't get the goals that you expected, but you qualified for the next
Because
stage.
you promised them more of that goal.
The NDC also promised their supporters that they have won and they're winning. That is why they are on the street. Every political party, every serious-minded political party goes into an election with strategy. Our supporters may have concerns. They keep coming to us with these concerns. We don't want them to be expressing these concerns on social media to give the impression as if we lost an election. We won an election for them. The concerns, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. That is why we keep improving reforms, our structures, our approach to processes, parliamentary primaries, approach to issues of the foot soldiers, the grassroots, approach to the welfare of our party people in general. All these things cannot be discussed on social media platform or on JoyNews or on radio. It must come to a structure. The party has commissioned a committee to also do a postmortem, which we do that after every election. It guides us for the... Yeah, there's no special. Even after I was always, we had a committee. After 2008, we had a committee. After 2012, we had a committee.
For this particular committee?
A month.
Okay.
They're supposed to go down. It's made up of seasoned people, chaired by Yao Safumafu and myself as national organizer. I'm appearing before that committee tomorrow. All national officers will have their turn to appear before it. With Giorgio, they also ask us what we saw on the ground.
Things that can help.
Not inquiry, but it's to help guide future actions. You see, even though it's internal, it shows that the party hasn't gone to sleep after elections. We are putting our house in order for us to come back stronger. This resolves what we want to assure our supporters. NPP will claim these lost seats back in 2024. We've done it before. In 2012, we were in minority. In 2016, we had a huge majority. Our supporters maybe may have some concerns on the ground as to why maybe we also lost some seats here and there. As they bring in these suggestions and concerns, we collate them.
So as
we also
part
put
of
them on the
fact
balance
finding,
of probability.
as part of the fact finding, from where we sit, the allegations are that yourself and women's organizer of your party, KGM, for instance, in the lead up to the primaries, imposed candidates on the delegates.
Myself and the national
You've been
women
cited.
organizer.
Yes, you've been cited. Akwitia, for instance, the national women's organizer, have been cited for that. Yourself also cited for a number of constituencies, leading to your loss. That's how you lost a number of these seats.
I reject these allegations. Everywhere we've gone or we've been to, let's be clear in our minds. Let me use Akwitia. In Akwitia, we open nomination. People were not stopped from picking forms. I want to go by Akwitia analysis and argument. Then we had a contest, and the delegates elected a candidate. We did not impose a candidate. The sitting member of parliament there lost the primaries. She was part of the process. Nobody took her out before the primaries. It's different from Fomina. Fomina didn't pick nomination forms. He stayed out of the process. In Akwitia, she was part of the process, but lost the primaries, but felt that something might have gone wrong with her loss. So she was also bitter. She was angry, and she felt that all wasn't well with that process. But that was the process. And the National Women Organizer, I cannot foresee these persistent allegations against her. I've been to Akwitia. I sat down with Amase, and I'm telling you today, sat down with Amase and her campaign team, and that of her husband as well. Reached out to them. I pleaded with them because I was commissioned to go there ahead of our health walk in Akwitia during the campaign. Kene Japan did same. KK Sapon did same. The president himself did same. The general secretary did same. And our party leadership. MFA, what again can we do? There's a limit to what we can do. We cannot force the person to say, look, I'll come and stand on the platform. But all the gesture, the overtures, Mark Kate herself also made attempts, visited the home of the woman, wasn't allowed to see the MP, used other people to get to the woman. But I believe that we can't cry over spilled milk. We've lost the Akwetia seat, but regain Akwetia in 2024. We want our supporters. We are giving them our biggest assurance. NPP will recapture our overwhelming majority in 2024.
Okay.
And we'll work towards that.
Let's see how patient your supporters will be.
We've done it before. We want them to know that is the NPP spirit. We never give up, and we'll recapture this lost seat for them. And President Akufo-Addo will also work hard to hand over to another NPP presidential candidate in 2025, 7 January.
Well,
that is the target.
Has the struggle already started?
No, but we're working towards handing over to another NPP presidential candidate. Okay. Whoever the delegate
seen flyers coming up already.
I don't visit social media often lately because the way they are bashing us national officers, you are better off sometimes staying tuned to your radio set.
But of course, what I've seen, let me update you.
Okay,
we've seen a number of flyers. We've seen that of Dr. Baumia. We've seen Alan Chemate. Are we going to have a number of people? What do you foresee as national organizer? Are we going to see 60 more or more than that?
Now we even have a process where if there are more than 5, you have a Sahindran process. Okay. That's you said. If there are more than 5, there's a special voting.
Are you going to block people now?
I don't think we will block, but I believe that conventional wisdom should teach us that 17 aspirants in 2007 did not help us. And I believe not all of us can get the opportunity to be commander-in-chief or president of our republic. If I know that my brother has a fair and better opportunity, it's about electability and it's about winnability. The person should be able to win the party's base vote before crossing to the general elections. So you have to also weigh yourself.
Has the lobbying and jostling started already?
No, it's normal. You have people calling you here and there, national organizer, I'm looking at this way. And even myself, I don't know my fate. You get it. And I think this process won't be until 2023. Okay. Because when we are in government, you elect a presidential candidate 12 months to the general elections. And I believe I don't think it started too early. It's normal. And our youth are also excited. They then begin to pitch camps here and there. It's part of the NPP's process. However, what they should avoid, and I want to sound a word of caution to the youth, let's not become pawns in this game for us to be used to fight proxy wars internally. Okay. If you are canvassing for vote for your presidential aspirant, do that with decorum. Respect other people's choices and let the conversation be civil. Tell us why you think MFRPA will be a good presidential candidate for party A or for this party.
That's just an example.
That's just an example. Okay. You haven't told me you want to be presidential candidate, but I know that maybe Sunday when you form a party, if Joy or Multimedia decides to form one, then we'll call the elections. So all I'm saying is that the language should be civil, people should be decorous, and people should also respect other people's views and opinions. That's the only way.
Are you still eyeing your position as national organizer?
One thing I'm clear about, I won't be on the ballot as national organizer.
You won't be? Are you going up?
I haven't given it a thought. I don't think so.
General Secretary?
I don't think so. I haven't given it a thought, and I don't think so.
You will no longer hold the position of national organizer?
As for national organizer, I'm clearing my mind that I'll be saying goodbye to the NPP when my term of office ends. Why? I think I've contributed my quota. When I was going for national youth leader, I was clearing my mind that I want to help the party win the 2016 elections by canvassing for votes and mobilizing the youth of our country in a dramatic way for them to vote change in 2016. I was successful with that mandate. And then I was clear to them I won't be seeking another term as youth leader. When I contested for national organizer as well, I also made it clear that I want to repeat what I did when I was youth leader. Help support the presidential candidate and his running mate, support my colleagues in party leadership as well. And then win 2020 for them. And I believe that we've won a sweet victory for them, and for them to have a good Christmas in 2020. And I believe that I've done my bit. I don't think there are new ideas for me to contribute again as national organizer. Maybe I'll have to pave way for someone to come in with fresh ideas, fresh energy. And if I have some little suggestions or ideas left, I support the person as well.
So as you make your way out of that position, what next are you looking at?
I'm sure when we get to that bridge we'll cross it, but one thing I can be emphatic is I won't be on the ballot paper as national organizer.
But maybe general secretary?
I haven't given it a thought. Let me be very honest with you. And
but it's not off the table.
Oh, is the likelihood is very negligible.
Was it too stressful?
Working at the party head office has been very stressful, and I'm not running away from the stress, but I think I've done my bit as national organizer.
You're leaving the stage whilst the applause is loudest.
Maybe posterity will be kind to me as to whether I performed well as organizer or not, whether I campaigned well as organizer or not.
So as national organizer, for instance, you were in the forefront when it comes to the operation of this particular campaign in the lead up to the election and after. Did you rig the elections?
I mean, it will be in someone's wildest imagination to think that with the current architecture of our electoral process, results can be rigged. Look, police stations results, I don't foresee how. Maybe the experts in the game from the NDC side can enlighten us on how they used to do it. Because it's strange. The moment the results are declared, your agent has a copy, my agent has a copy. Your sense of forwards, to your collation center, mine the same. I collate mine, you collate yours. So if my figure is wrong, what is your figure?
Because the NDC, to borrow your words, feels it within their bones that they won this election. So they rigged it.
So the only place for us to have a proper adjudication of this matter is not on the street. Street is just a feel-good exercise, feel-good, where you believe that you can mobilize people on the street, and at the end of the day, have a feeling that we've put some 1,500 people, 200 people on the street, but the effect on the economy, the damage to people's properties, and mind you,
could it be that you also benefited from the NDC's inability to be vigilant on the ground, like people have said?
Well, that is their own matter. We receive results from our polling stations. As to whether their polling agent failed to transmit theirs to them is their matter. So we've been able to collate ours. We put our figures out, and our figures and that of the EC very close, very close. So our figures, that of the EC, that of the CODIO, that of the international observers, seem to be around the same margin of errors and figures. So if you disagree with what has been put out there, what is your figure? That's what I keep asking them. So we cannot be embarking on an exercise where we are chasing figures left. Look, an NDC friend of mine sent me 3 pink sheets from 3 polling stations. Whilst I was going through, then I realized the first 2 that he sent me, I didn't get to the 3rd one. The first 2 that he sent me, the overvoting that he was complaining about was to the NDC's advantage. So then he deleted the first, and I said, but why have you deleted? So I sent you the wrong pink sheet. So it means that they themselves, I think as they go through the auditing of the pink sheet, I'm even quite sure that if they don't take care, some of the evidence that they will even produce might even go to their disadvantage. But let's stop the distraction on our street. Let's stop the attacks. Let's stop the vandalism and the vandalization of properties. Let's stop the hooliganism on the street. And I want to also encourage the NPP supporters. Whilst you celebrate, stretch a hand of friendship to your NDC brother. Share a drink with him. Their hurt is painful to suffer defeat. You have no idea. It's so painful to go through electoral defeat. But it takes courage to say, look, I'm looking into the future. And sometimes there's a tendency for you to feel hopeless when you lose an election. It's a tendency to feel that you've lost almost everything. But that is when you need someone to hold your hand and say, you know what, we can make it again next time. Akufo-Addo never gave up. That is perseverance. I believe that NDC's victory may not come within the shortest possible time. But someday, when they work hard, the Ghanaian people will see a change of attitude in them. They will have maybe trust in them again after many years, and then decide to also give them a try. We are not oblivious of the fact that it's a stage. You come to perform, you leave. So someday there'll be an occupant too at the Jubilee House that might not be wearing the red, white, and blue, but might be from another party stock. But we are also working hard to ensure that Ghana develops as far as and so long as they continue to remain under an MPP leadership, and work hard to make sure that we improve upon our electoral fortunes. And want to plead with our supporters that as they jubilate, they have every right to jubilate because they've worked hard. We clinched victory even from the jaws of a very determined propaganda machinery of our opposition, but we won. So they should jubilate, they should be excited, and I'm happy they are jubilating. However, they should also take into consideration that you also have your brothers and sisters who have been let down by their party leadership or let down by the results of their elections. Bring them on board. It's a family. Okay. That's why we have one Ghana.
Okay. Mr. Samyuku, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And
Merry Christmas.
Many happy returns. Is our prayer that with the compliments of the season as well from the MPP side to multimedia. And for this Christmas, let Jesus be the reason for the season. And back to even our jubilation. You know, we've lost lives as well as a result of the jubilation in the Western North area and other places where our supporters on motorbikes and all knocked down by vehicles, and also out of provocation. We've had in Kwanta South, NDC chairman stabbing our supporters and all. As I'm saying that the jubilation, they should also exercise some level of respect. Back to our Christmas, I look forward to having an exciting Christmas. I look so forward to it. Well. And every chilling joint that I hear of, maybe I'll pass through. I'm sure I'll see an NDC friend or two.
I hear you like to really chill.
When I get the opportunity, I do.
You do.
Just as multimedia, you organize several programs.
We organize
several programs.
Which program?
Oh, several. You sometimes have this oldies night. You sometimes have this, and you have this. You partner other
COVID
events.
Has changed a lot of things.
I think COVID has locked down the world. But look, Christmas is an exciting season. The guys out there, the ladies out there, families out there, it's an opportunity for us to make merry. God has been gracious to us, and we've come this far by His grace. I believe that we deserve an opportunity to also celebrate Christmas and the birth of Christ. And let me use this opportunity as well to express our deepest condolences to families who have lost their loved ones, not because of elections, but throughout the year. MFR, we've lost quite some great personalities, great personalities. For one reason or the other. This year, I mean, for some of us, losing Sir John was a pain, and every day I see him in my dreams, and I still cannot believe he's gone. We lost one of our founding fathers, Victor Newman. Ghanaians, we've lost Jerry Rawlings. We've lost quite a number of great personalities this year. So families should also use this opportunity to also offer thanks to God for keeping us safe throughout this turbulent period. And may the covenant-keeping God keep His covenant with us all. Merry Christmas and official party you all. To my NDC friends, you are welcome. You are welcome when you need someone to talk to.
You're patronizing them.
No, I have a lot of friends from the NDC side.
And that was Samyuku with MFA Apau there. And that's how we wrap up the Pulse this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. And from all of us, Merry Christmas.